How do we change policy?
Well, all I can say is that, our members are all part of those committees that work through that.
Let's get down to the juicy stuff. Have you ever caught anyone doing something wrong?
Oh, look.
So when you find someone doing, straying off the path, so to speak, how do you bring them back into line?
Look, it's...
Welcome back to the CX show. I'm joined here with my two co-hosts and a special guest, John,
Ciao.
Alex, and Oliver.
Okay.
It's good. It's good to have you down, Oliver.
Thanks.
So,
good to be here.
hopefully you guys have been following on. There's 2 podcasts out now, so check them out, engage with it, and let us know some feedback. We'd love to hear it. So, Oliver, what is AMIC?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for the invitation. We really, as an industry body, we're quite happy and fortunate to have partners like Cold Xpress, be associated with our industry, yeah. And we're very fortunate to have a fairly good relationship with Cold Xpress. So, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to come in and have this little bit of a chat.
Welcome, man. That's it.
So, what is AMIC? Yeah. Well, Australian Meat Industry Council, abbreviated to AMIC. We represent retailers, processors, small goods manufacturers, all around Australia. We're an industry body that exists for a clear reason for its member base, mm-hmm. And really to look at supporting our members through policy and all the different ways that we can support them in improving their businesses across Australia. So from the independent butcher in how they manage and how they work through things to small goods manufacturers on advocacy and working through key industry issues.
Some of those words are pretty big.
I know, John. I know, but
I just don't want to lose half the viewers here.
It's important to obviously clarify what our voice is for the industry.
You know what I like about you guys? No, I'm serious.
Here we go.
No, I like the fact that you give time to the little guys, the little butchers. Yeah, right. Whether they don't have to be a big multinational. They can be just one butcher shop in the middle of regional. Yeah, right. I was going to say, in the middle of nowhere type of thing. And you give them a voice, which I think is really, really good.
I think the most important thing is to remember is that no matter where you are throughout Australia, you are very represented by what we do as an industry body. And it doesn't matter if you're a metropolitan Melbourne to a small regional town, you get the same. We try and give you the same service, try and give you the same respect that you're trying to obviously have a business that is functional and is profitable. And we're going to, as AMIC, we try and obviously make it as easy as we possibly can, from food safety to advocacy at a government federal level. Now, independent butchers might not see the day-to-days on that back end, but it actually definitely that value is definitely there in how we can impact their business. So
let's get down to the juicy stuff. Have you ever caught anyone doing something wrong?
Oh, look, I think our industry is fairly reliant on making sure that we do everything right, John. That's the key for us. So we're so I'm not going to say hell-bent, but we're so keen to make sure that whatever we do when it comes to food preparation, food integrity is to the letter of the law. We're all based on regulation. It's our job as AMIC to make sure that we support our members in how they achieve their food safety requirements. But also, and at various levels. I mean, you're going to have certain things that will happen, but our job is to see how we can minimise that as best we possibly can. And our members are great in doing it too.
So when you find someone doing, straying off the path, so to speak, how do you bring them back into line?
Look, it's about support and clarity, and that's the key for us. It's we look at the interpretation of the requirements that are based on it. And look, we have to be clear that interpretation is there for for various things. I mean, how you would read something and interpret it to how I would read something and interpret it. What AMIC is about is trying to make sure what our interpretation is the same as what the regulators say, or what government policy is about. So we try and filter that down so that members can be clear on our direction, and can be clear on how we do that. So where we step in, we really do provide all of our comms, our media, our information, our support on the ground is very much to try and help people, be doing the right thing. If we see things that we think that members need support in, we definitely offer that. We've done food safety training programs. We've got a food safety program that we offer in house. There are a number of obviously advocacy programs that we have in place for a federal level that filters down to members. And we have networking sessions where we regularly, provide advice on certain things that have happened that will change. I remember one was weights and measures where they had a new policy that came out and changed a few things, and we ran a number of seminars over the day. I think it was 4 or 5 seminars in that day where we had nearly 150 members come through in that day, just trying to learn all the differences and changes that occurred in that side of things. So it's AMIC's ability to be able to provide that clear and concise information. And that's one way, but a lot of our media and our AMIC advocate that we provide sort of goes into the detail as well. And I think the good thing about our membership is that they're really in tune with what we ask and what we say. They're really engaged. We try and hope for them to be as engaged as possible because it is a two-way street. Membership is all about two-way street. Yeah. It's not about just what we can provide them. It's about obviously their engagement back to us and keeping us informed. So so that we're doing the right thing by them as well.
That's great. And Dad, how did we get in touch with AMIC? How did that all start?
How did we get in touch?
Did you reach out to
Dad?
Dad?
Yeah, I reached out. I remember the actual conversation. So it was actually through a partner that you deal with at the moment, and we were having a sort of a conversation.
Yes.
We're having a conversation, and that person said, "Look, there's one person that I think that would really, it would be a benefit to you and also the industry if we can have something a bit more structured." Yeah. And they gave me John's number, and
You can say Batocki, it's okay.
Yeah, Batocki, yes, it was Batocki.
We don't filter here.
So Batocki and Tony Rapone in the time just sort of said, "Look, go and speak to John."
And the great man who's retired now.
Yes, I say retired too early, but he's a stalwart within the small goods sector anyway. Very well known man, very very reputable as well. So if you're seeing this, John, hope you enjoy retirement. You're enjoying it. So
yeah, so he got us onto Dad, and that was because, and that's how we started doing work together, right? So for us, we are one of the main sponsors for AMIC, right? So, our relationship together is, they throw these sorts of events, security event, right? And then you've got, what was the recent event that you guys just did?
So so I'll probably go a little bit onto this because it's part of the, I suppose, foundation of how our relationship sort of worked through. But we around 4 years ago, developed a program called the Australian Security Excellence Award. And I say program, not competition, because it was very much designed as a program internally within AMIC to see if we can improve and also support the standards within our sector. Okay, and then the second component of that is acknowledge, what great products we have. So it's a bit of a mix of a number of things, and so that program took off around 4 years ago. Batocki was one of the ones that we were talking to at the time. Yeah. Our challenge at that time was how can we engage everyone in Australia, whether it be small independent butchers to small goods manufacturers, large, small, medium, large, all across the country, and we needed a partner that to help us sort of connect with them from a transport side of things in getting that product from A to Z really.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
it does take in a lot of elements, and we've got members as far north as North Queensland and Cairns to a little place down near Albany in Western Australia, as you know.
So how do you get
how are you aware, Jack?
So what do you mean?
You're saying you're aware?
Yeah, so for us, how it connects it with us, right? So all the applicants enter the program, right? Oliver gives me the data, and then we go out and basically pick up all the entries, right across Australia. So I use different partners across the country to bring it all into us, and it is It's a challenge, but it's good. You know,
and we do it for love, but the partners don't do it for love. I don't understand.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Mum said to me, Marie said, "Who do we charge us to?" I said, "No, we're doing it for love."
Well, I think the important thing here is that we've now got, and this is probably sort of feedback from the industry cohorts as well. I mean, we've been in partnership now for 4 years. We've had a number of years where we've had our small goods summits and our events that have been working through with our industry awards. We went from, just to give you some growth statistics, we went from 335 entries in the first year, 725 entries the second year, 835 entries in the third year. And this year we were lucky enough to we have a linkage with a world competition, which is IFA. IFA is the largest meat manufacturing conference in the world. Happens every 3 years, and they also have a quality competition, a world quality competition, and part of that is obviously small goods. And we were able to link with them not long ago, and we had their 5 representatives, 5 judges come down from Germany to look at our products, and that was a real success for us. And you guys again were a big player in making sure that was.
I spoke to one of those judges. I can't remember his name, but he was a really nice guy, and I didn't realise how involved it was. About when they do the judging, because I said to him, wouldn't you, would you rate the first ones you try higher than the last ones, because that's when you're hungry. So when you're hungry, everything tastes good. So by the end of it, is it still? And he just went through. No, we don't actually eat it. We spit a lot of it out, and
they're absolute consummate professionals. How they work through. I mean, there's a number of criteria I work through, but they've got a sheet of paper with probably at least 100 descriptive terms of each product.
Yep.
And what they're looking for and what they're trying to sign off and everything. And I think for the benefit of the competition, it's more so important for the consumers as well. Is that these guys, they're looking at the product individually. Every product that they get in front of them, it's a standalone product. So they want to do the best thing for that organisation and that product, and say, well, I want to make sure that I'm not biased in any which way or form. I'm trying to really grade this in the best way that possibly can.
And they don't know what they're.
No, it's all blind. It's all blind.
So,
it's all blind in respect of all the cladding of the companies, and we make sure we've got a criteria that we put out that the companies have to submit their product in a specific way.
That's right.
And then we prepare it in a way that is best for the judging to occur. We go through a step with each judge. We have a judging, debrief every session before and after, and then we work on things like if some things need to be cooked, like bacon. Which is quite unique in Germany, how they judge their product. In Germany, they don't do a cook section, whereas in Australia we obviously do a cook section. Now we worked in with the judges here about how we go about that process, and then they work, with their metrics and our metrics as combining it, which was quite unique for them, and they really, really sort of took a lot away from how we do it, and also obviously we took a lot away how they did it. So, but the results, I do know the results, but I won't go into detail on it. But I'm quite chuffed at looking at where we place ourselves in from a world perspective. We're quite fortunate.
Yeah,
so Oliver, tell us why meat companies, butchers should get involved with AMIC.
Well, this is a very important question, because it's part of obviously the program that we just spoke about. The charcuterie competition and how we sort of underpin the value of what they produce and what they manufacture. It's also about how we underpin their business, how we support them, on a day-to-day basis. It's how we advocate on their concerns. How do we handle the key issues? These are things that are quite important for them to, being independent butchers, manufacturers, processors, abattoirs. It's key for them to have a voice in the industry. And we the team at AMIC, there's not just me. There's quite a big team at AMIC which are very well versed into all the areas, specialise in certain areas. So, what our role and job is to make sure that we are that voice for the industry, and we We integrate and engage with industry where we need to. We have various industry councils. I mean, I report to the National Small Goods Council, our Processing Council. There's guys that report to that, and there's a National Retail Council. And there's usually around 12 members from industry that sit on those councils, and then all go up to the board. Okay. So we're all, I suppose, reflective of where we sit within the industry, but it's also very important to understand that we're not just twiddling our fingers in the background. We're very much working on the benefit of our members and making sure that we do what we can to support them in the best way we possibly can. I'll be honest, we don't get it always right, but that's where our interaction with our members and our engagement with members is quite crucial. Our feedback from members in telling us what's important to improve on is what's key for us to do the right thing for them.
You touched on the judging just before. Going back on that, how many people actually do the judging? I'm assuming that there's different people have their own fields of what they judge. How do you monitor that?
So we have a balance of judges. So this is probably the other thing that we probably need to clarify. We've got technical science experts on our panel. We've got food consultants. We've got chefs, well-known chefs that have been a part of our judging criteria. We've had Colin Frasnick. We've had Adrian Richardson. We've had Adam Moore, who's very well known in the culinary space. So they're very well averse to the taste and appearance and the textures of what they need to look for within the industry. They're representative of our consumers, how we see it, because they're serving and they're appealing to the consumer base. So we need to make sure that we have that balance where we've got those experts on our judging group. Then you've got like our industry experts as well. We've got, what we call Fleischmeisters, we're German experts, and we've got various other, I suppose, cultures within our judging group that have set skill sets. We've got TAFE trainers, we have, and again, just, our industry sort of cohort of experts. So in the ASA competition, I think we've got a panel of around between 30 and 35 judges that we roll between. For this IFA competition that just happened now in start of February, there were 5 judges that came from Germany, and there was 5 that we had here in Australia. 2 of those 5, two of the 10 were chief judges. One chief judge from Australia, one chief judge from Germany. So they're there to make sure that all the judges are doing the right thing, and there's a process where they need to, if there's any questions or concerns or a technical aspect that they need to address, they're the go-to person to make sure that they address that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty involved process.
You mentioned some chefs that I didn't hear. Ronald McDonald. Me personally, he's a good guy. He's been whipping up.
He's a good guy
for quite some time.
One of the reasons why Ronald McDonald's not on it is because we service
the Hamburglar got him.
The Hamburglar got him. Look, they're
I think every storeman, every chef, every person receiving boxed meats, drivers as well. They're going to want to know, when can we do something about the weight of these boxes in the meat? We have some boxes that are over 30 kilos, 33 kilos. That's just too heavy. It's too heavy for the driver. You got to feel sorry. They're loading, unloading, and the storemen, and people who are receiving it. They're receiving these boxes. What can we do?
There's a couple of things with that, John, because there's a couple of ways that.
Don't mention cost.
No. Well, look, cost comes into it to a degree, but I think the most important thing is that weights are usually regulated, and this is something that we need to be sort of understanding of. Occupational health and safety, weights and measures, and all that type of thing. They're all part of what we need to, as an industry, sort of abide by. So, a lot of those box sizes and box meats and that so forth are sort of regulated in that sense. But where there's some other things you need to be aware of is that there are also some constraints with regards to transport for domestic and export, and a lot of export weights are different to the domestic weights, and so you just need to be mindful that there are some things there that whilst it's all regulated and whilst it's all covered, I mean the occupational health and safety side of things is the key component that we look for from an industry. Now, if you're seeing something different, that's where the feedback to our industry and a little bit like us is seeing what we can do about that and how we can sort of work.
Look, I've spoken to members of your organisation and you know, because I really wanted to reach out to all the major meat companies, and you know, basically what I was told was, look, you know, the domestic market for meat is probably 15% of what Australia produces, and the rest gets exported. So we
more than that, but yeah.
more than that.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Wow.
So we export.
Well,
Like-
exports 90%, really?
No, exports probably. What do you mean more? I mean lower. I mean, like it's probably around 30%. It goes to 30 to 35% goes to the domestic market, and then the majority of it goes to export.
Okay, so the majority goes export, and everything's set up for that market. So they're not going to change the bulk for, you know, 15, 20, even 25%. Yeah, but that doesn't solve the problem we have. There has to be a solution. There has to be a solution. I don't know. Yes, I understand there's a cost. There's a cost thing. So if you halve the boxes, you know, are you doubling the cost? Well, you know, you're not doubling the cost, but you are increasing the cost. I get that. But there has to be a point where you say, well, you know, if it's going to save the back of all these people, surely we need to look into it. You know, I know that there are, you know, some organisation, I think, I don't know if Woolies have a limit. I don't know if it's 15 or 12 kilos, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so there's like I said, there's so many different requirements from, you know, various suppliers that request certain things from our industry as well. So the big guys can say, right, if you want to serve us, these are it. Now, we don't have that voice. You know, we're not big enough to say to someone, you know, do this, do that, because they're going to say, well, who are you, you know? But, you know, I tried to look up what the regulations are in our industry, and the only one I could find was like nothing over, I think, 50 or 53 kilos. Well, okay, that's
Tough, yeah. Yeah, when you lift one on it, it's you've been talking about it for a long time. You know?
Yeah, I have, because I remember through COVID, you know, we couldn't get drivers, and I was out there doing deliveries, and I remember there was a pallet in the back of a truck, and I, you know, I was getting down, and I think I had about 20 boxes to deliver to some butcher shop. And I just remember getting to those bottom boxes, I'm thinking, I can't actually lift these. By the time I got down there, it was heavy. It was heavy. Now, yes, I don't do it every day, you know, and people that do it every day, you do get used to it to a certain degree. But yeah, I just think, you know, something has to be done, and I don't know how to start doing it.
Well, I think that's important to, you know, sort of listen to those sorts of feedback, and I think our industry is very mindful on how they work with occupational health and safety requirements. I know that they're very mindful of that, so it's been something that we regularly work with various obviously bodies to make sure that we're doing the right thing, and our members are doing the right thing. So look, all I can say is we go back and we review and research and look at what can be done.
Everyone I talk to says, yep, it'd be great if you could do something, but no one's willing to change. Well, that's not a really good answer. That's not an answer that sits well with me.
Because they can't do anything about it. Because I mean, we're speaking to our customers, which are, you know, the wholesalers, right? You know, they say, well, we're buying it like this. You know what I mean? It's coming out of the abattoir like that. You know, but it goes back to, well, they're not going to change it because most of the volume's export. So we're sort of stuck in that thing. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, it's one of those things.
How do we change policy? How do we change policy?
Volumes, there's too much volume going exported.
Get Trump down here. He'll do it.
Well, all I can say is that I mean, our members are all part of those committees that work through that. How we address it is we raise that concern with industry, and then they've
got to be going through it in their own depots, their own abattoirs, their own, you know, factory. Their staff's going to be handling the same boxes we do.
That's why they're automating everything.
And a lot of it is automated these days.
That's what it's doing. They're automated, so for them, it's like they don't know much. You know what I mean? But
so their solution is to automate. And
pass it on twice.
Do you see a lot of abattoirs going automated?
Oh, there's quite a bit, of automation working through.
Really
Even,
cool
even in the small goods manufacturing industry, there's automation happening.
Jack went to an abattoir.
On Monday.
On Monday, he came back white.
No,
He followed the whole process.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. It was interesting.
It's a lot of people when they actually see the process. It does change their mindset on actually how our food is produced and how our food ends up on our plate. So
for me, it opened my eyes quite a bit.
Yeah,
cows are big. They're huge. So no, it was a good. Yeah, I met some guys up there, nice lads, and it was for me. I actually enjoyed the visit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
There used to be a butcher shop on just about every strip.
Yeah,
shop.
that's what I'm saying.
They're not there anymore.
That's right.
they're not. Look, there's.
supermarkets are
I say with any industry has its sort of. It looks at how they can contract and also looked at how they can expand. Every industry it goes through those ups and downs.
Yep. I'm not having a go at butchers.
No. I think
I'm just saying it plays into.
There used to be the butcher and the fruiterer.
Yeah.
Like the fruit shop was there. In any strip, like there used to be like sometimes 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Well, competition is going to happen in any industry.
Yeah.
And competition very much, in particular with independent butchers back in those days, was very much the same. Whether they were competing against themselves, whether they were competing against, the like-minded, supermarkets. It's competition.
Yeah.
But what we need to understand is what is our service? What are we offering? What is our point of difference? And that's something that you need to sort of understand about. I think where butchering has evolved is that point of difference. They've become very artisan. They've become very service, customer orientated, and they're providing something that Safeways and Coles can't offer.
Is that called value?
100%. It's the value in service is these younger guys. They're only I think we're fortunate and unfortunate. Fortunate, I say fortunate through the COVID era because I think people got to understand that value back. Because when they looked at supermarket shelves and they were empty. Where do they go? They turned to the butchers, which they were able to.
Yeah, we got smashed there for a few days.
I mean, they
were a little while. Customers literally sold out. Like, why are you quiet? We sold out. There's nothing to buy. We can't buy anything.
But you have butchers that are able to pivot. They're able to break down bodies. They're able to meet the demand, and that that side of that uniqueness on what we can offer our consumers is probably what's our point of difference. But then you look at the value and the value add that we provide our consumers as well. I mean, you walk into a butcher shop these days, you're not just going to see a piece of steak. You're going to see 50 different sausages. You're going to see value add products to ready-made meals. That's how butcher shops have evolved, John. And so I don't necessarily say there's shops that have closed down. I look at if you look at the size of the shops that closed down. And look at today, the shops that are still open. They're probably twice the size of what they were.
Actually.
More than twice. They are like
twice to 3 times,
4 or 5 times the size. Because I remember
the one at Oxford, there was a small shop, right? And you look at the one that's
the shops were no bigger than what this is. And actually smaller than this. Yeah. Just a little glass case.
One little glass,
people would come in. There'd be sawdust all on the floor.
And one thing, and like I said, we talk about value, but one thing about butchers that you don't get at Safeway and Coles is that if you're a regular at a butcher shop, they'll know who you are. Yeah. They'll know your name. Yeah. They'll know your kids. They'll know. Right. They're there to talk. It's a personal touch. Yeah, right. And look, some people will talk about maybe it's a little bit more pricier. Well, that's about about scale, about size. But then it's also about what they're delivering, what they're offering. And, that personal touch, I think people are respecting that a lot more these days.
People get hooked up on price, but they don't look at the value of things sometimes, all right? And I'm going to give you an example. When I started in Cold Xpress, I was having this discussion with someone, and I said, I'm going to go and buy a diary, and you put it through the business, and they bought a diary for themselves, and I think their diary cost $30, and mine cost $180, right? And they just had the biggest whinge at me, all right, $180. I said, yeah, but mine, at the end of the year, you throw yours out. Your $40 is thrown out the door. My $180, for like $5, I'm just going to get a refill, right? I'm just going to get the refill and keep going, all right? Now, $180, all right? Now, 27 years ago, all right? 27 years ago, I bought this folder. 27 years ago. I still use it today. All right? Now, break that 180 down by 27, and now you multiply that 40 by 27. Who's got the better deal? Where's the value? The value is right here. And that's what people don't see. They just see that initial 180, can't do it. They don't look at the value.
That's crap. Mum bought that for you last Christmas.
They still got the tag on it.
27 years ago, and I'm still using it.
No, you're 100%
27
right.
years
You're 100%
ago.
Value is something that obviously is a unique component that small goods manufacturers, independent butchers, our industry offer our consumers, and that value is seen in various ways, in various forms, but most importantly, that service to the end service is probably the key. How they there's so many. I get told so many times. I walk into a butcher shop and I want a specific cut, a specific way, a specific. I can't get that at a Safeway Coles.
The best quote I've seen on a butcher shop window. This when do they still write on the windows now?
Yeah, they still.
Okay.
Yeah, I see them.
Quality is remembered long after price is forgotten.
Yep.
That was a really good quote, and I said to him, you just told everyone that you're really dear, but it was a really good quote.
I think we need to also, whilst we talk about price and so forth. For me, it's about, you talk about value. I do really go on the quality side. I look at, when I want to go and I want to entertain a good group of friends, and I want to make sure that they're going to get looked after, and there's going to be an experience that they eat. The quality is what they remember. Yep. So, that's something that, whether it be small goods manufacturing and the products that we put in front. I keep getting there are products that I normally go. There's a couple of places that I normally go regularly to get my meat intake from, but when we do present it, they're always, where did you get this from? Why? Where can I get that from? And so that's something that you're not going to get from various outlets. I mean, we're very fortunate, like in small goods, we have that unique aspect where in the Coles and Safeways, we've got these chains that have got our products as well. All right. And it's more standardised in that sense because the quality is there to be able to replicate. But from a butchering side, personally, I don't see them, maximising that quality from a fresh cut of meat compared to where you go to a butcher shop and getting a fresh cut of meat. That's just a sort of a skill set that the butchers have got over any of the majors.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. Going back to judging,
Can I just say something? Yeah. Sorry, I do have to interject things because I know you're going to talk about judging for a moment.
That's a good question.
But look, I first and foremost, John was at our networking session, and I'm surprised you guys haven't brought it up. He said something so controversial that I could not believe it came out of an Italian's mouth.
Well, he's a 50-50. He's a half-breed.
Now I know where it's coming.
He's a half-breed.
So he spoke about the quality about our judges and so forth, and then John, you ended up having a conversation about pizza.
Pineapple on a pizza.
Pineapple on a pizza, and I'm like going, I'm European, and I know that's just a no-go zone.
It tastes good. That's what I'm saying. But tell a story of what happened in Italy when you went to Italy and you asked for.
I asked for it. First of all,
you almost gave the guy a heart attack.
Yeah, he laughed and said, "Yeah, very funny." I said, "I'm actually serious."
He got his pen. He started doing this.
And he refused. He didn't want to do it. Now we were with some friends that lived in Italy, and I said, "Well, I don't understand." So they went out the back and had a chat to him, and he did come out with my pineapple on the pizza.
Just on a side note, just to make you laugh, John. I had most of the judges say, "Look, never get John for his palate will be completely squashed."
Yin and yang. It's yin and yang.
So talking about judges, unfortunately, I have been told
you'd hear it needs cheese about 7 times. That needs cheese.
Well,
yeah, that's right.
Actually, when I do have my pasta, you know how you go to a restaurant.
Cheese, right?
They'll put the cheese all over the whole thing, and then it melts out. That's not how I like my cheese on my pasta, right? I like fresh cheese, and I'll sprinkle on a section. I'll eat that little section, then I'll sprinkle some more on, and I'll do that.
You're a weird cat when it comes to eating.
Oliver, he brings. No, let's go on to this. He brings his own. No, I'm not kidding. He brings a separate container to a restaurant filled with the cheese he likes for the
Yeah,
plate
I
of
do.
pasta he's about to order.
I do.
That's where he's at in his life, Oliver. That's where he's at. That's where he's at in his
I
life.
like my Millel, Pecorino Romano.
Yeah.
Goes on.
That's how I like it.
Goes on Google reviews. BYO cheese. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, we'll book here.
I do.
7.
I do. And it's funny because a couple of times I've done that. I've brought the container there, I put it down, and see the waitresses come over, and they're looking and look at me, and I was like, and they just like shake their head and they just walk off. Like, what can they say? What can they say?
No, I had to bring that up because I know you're going to go on judges, but I had to raise that because it was something that came out from the judges going.
It was good. It was good. But with
go for it. Go all
with
your
the
guys.
judging, right? And there was a question asked, I think from Luigi the other night, and he made it was a good question, and I'm making sure I was listening because even though it was in German, I was waiting for the translator bit to come in. But so with the judging, if it is a Italian prosciutto, right? If you got a German judge tasting it, right? Wouldn't it be a little bit different to... So how does he judge it? If it's an Australian... It's made in Australia, right? But they're basing it... Do they try and base it off their heritage where it comes from? Or they're basing off it of all the prosciutto that is in the country that they're actually come to judge?
Yeah, it's a good...
You know what I mean? Because for me,
question.
it's like... Well, wouldn't you compare it to the heritage? Or, because if one stands out against the rest, that's fair enough. But is that one there? What's it like compared to the heritage one?
No, it's a very good question because that's part of what I was saying before about the cultural aspect of small goods products and different regions have different ways of producing things. So we're wanting to try and make sure that we recognise the heritage of what is actually being produced and then actually grade what you're actually producing in that sense. So these judges are very, very mindful of those components, and there were products. I'll tell you straight up, there were products where some of the judges were like,
That's crap.
We need to have a conversation about this, because there's a couple of things you need to be aware of. There's a process in regards to how you make, certain products. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing is then you look at the regional, the cultural aspect of what you're making, and the third is, and then the taste and the quality and how it all sort of works in.
Yeah.
So these judges will sit there and actually have those conversations. What we were able to do, and this is why it was important for the world competition, and part of what we wanted to make sure that we had that sort of ability to be able to filter the information back to the world standards. Because they've got their way of doing things, but we wanted to make sure that we had an Australian judge to help guide some of the different sort of products that we were all producing.
And you had all those different backgrounds, all the different nationalities of judges.
Correct.
They can't all have my palate. Pineapple, but I do draw the line at anchovies. I do not like anchovies.
Yeah, no, we
but
don't get that.
Anyway, and when I was talking to this particular judge, he said, I tried a product. He goes, I thought it was absolutely terrible, and he said, I then asked one of the German judges, tell me what you think of this, and he goes, yep, that's exactly how it should be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got two judges, completely different points of view, and the judge I was talking to said, I've got to go with what he says because he's from that region and he knows exactly how that product is supposed to be.
And that's the importance of how we do our judging component as well. It's never individualised. It's never one person's opinion. And look, judging is an opinion-based type process. Okay, but we try and eliminate that as much as we can with the criteria that we've got, and the criteria follows certain things that they need to address. Okay, so when they look at the taste and the appearance and they look at all the other various aspects of the judging sheet itself, they've got to make sure that they're agreeing to all of those components. They're ticking off those components. But overall quality is a big component of that. Taste is a very big component of that. And why? Because they're the two things that the end consumer looks at.
That's right.
So we need to take into reflect that, yes, while there's the technical component of the product, you've also got to look and think about the consumer component. The taste and the feel and the visual, how the texture and flavour,
presentation,
that all comes into it. So these are the components that all evolves and sort of makes up in producing that.
Yeah, 'cause for me, I thought it's just you try it and it's taste. That's it. That's all you're looking at. Just give me the taste.
And you actually don't swallow; you just spit it out.
No, well, depending on how good the products. I mean, I can tell you now there were a number of products that that number of judging panels took a taste of because of how good it was.
Yeah, okay.
And I know the judging group. This can be an exclusive for you.
Yeah.
I know from the judging panel they put aside, I'm not going to say number, but I will say a number of products for a higher class award.
Okay.
So where
that judge had tried that product 46 times. I think he liked it.
Yeah, and what I think their process was no, they needed to make sure every judge agreed that would be, that would be endorsed as a higher achievement.
So when you got category winner, right? There's an overall winner.
So no, there's gold, silver, and bronze in this award competition. Obviously, we've got gold, silver, and bronze in the Australian Charcuterie Excellence Awards.
Right, yeah.
But in the Australian Charcuterie Excellence Awards, we also have what's called category champion.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas in Germany, they do it a little bit differently, or the world competition does it a little bit differently. So what they said was, because you guys do category champions, we don't necessarily agree with that, but what we do agree with is identifying some high quality product. So whether we're going to, they're coming back to me, on the wording of it, but those products are going to be awarded a trophy as being a higher grade quality product in Australia,
and
from a world standard side.
So the person that do get the gold standards, what happens to that person's business once they get awarded? You know what I mean?
So this is, I suppose, the importance of the credibility of our competition, and we're very, very mindful of that. I mean, the Australian Charcuterie Excellence Awards was designed solely, like I said before, to help the lift standards within our industry. But what it also has done is created the number of awareness. The awareness has grown, and what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, in particular, is charcuterie products are becoming a lot more trendier. You see, your charcuterie tables at all, parties and weddings and so forth, and everyone wants to get involved. We love that. We
cheese board.
Yeah, you got your cheese board. Well, a charcuterie,
which is all the
a charcuterie board takes in all those. Your condiments and your cheese and your wine.
Yeah.
Tell me one person doesn't like sitting down with a glass of wine, some charcuterie products on the table, and some piece of cheese. I mean, that's
three people.
That's me Friday night.
Growing up, we called that breakfast.
Pretty much.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
But if you can find product that is high quality, which that's part of what we do as AMIC, we've got a website where consumers can go on and try and find that product. We're in the middle of upgrading that at the moment because we've had so many award, gold medal and category champion awards over the last 3 or 4 years. But we're going to relaunching that hopefully soon, and that's going to give the opportunity for consumers to go out there and find a gold, silver, or bronze medal anywhere in Australia.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm waiting for the transport category.
Alex,
make sure no one else enters it, right?
Yeah. So we have a list of all their gold medals, all their silver medals, and they know exactly where to go find that product, and if they're in that local area, why not? That's the whole benefit of what we can provide our membership. And you say, what does it mean to them? Look, I think the industry is recognising that consumers appreciate quality, so therefore they want that for the industry to do the hard work for them, and have a reputable competition. I think it's extremely important. And I just want to make mention also, we do this in partnership with the likes of yourself, but also like with Australian Pork Limited, MLA, Meat Lifestyle Australia. So they're the three predominant meat bodies.
I did actually speak to someone who'd won one of the gold medals and on his product, and he said that his business went up like 400% within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks.
Wow. I don't disagree with that. I have heard other scenarios like that where they've gone from 1 tonne to 10 tonne in sales.
That's really good.
Look, the most important thing for me for the competition is to make it credible and to make sure that it sustains that credibility, not only for the industry but also for our consumers. That's the key priority for ASA. It's don't get me wrong, it's a challenge. It's a challenge in the back end to make sure that we administer it the right way, that we make sure that we have the right judges, that also provides that credibility. we have the right partners, like MLA, APL. More importantly, partners like yourself that help us, help that with that leverage and credibility. I'm not sure if you've seen, you probably, if you go to a lot of the outlets these days, they've got their own. We give them the medals that they win. They can put it on their product.
Yeah,
a lot of companies are starting. A lot of companies are starting to put that on their product as well.
Yeah, I see it on the packaging.
I've
seen that.
And that gives it that little level of credibility as well. So we're trying to provide everything we possibly can to our membership, and not only members, but it's an open sort of competition we have for the industry. But we provide that for the industry to sort of help them. Now, we would love those guys that participate with competition that aren't members to become a member, but we understand that, look, this is the benefit for the whole industry. And then we talk about what value is AMIC. That's the value of AMIC. Now, the value of AMIC is helping members, with their profitability, helping members strive to be more and more, with their consumers on a day-to-day basis.
No, I want to talk about experience and things because, sometimes you can have someone who's got 30 years experience in an industry, but that doesn't mean it's good. They could have 30 years of shit experience. It's, how do you do things, how do you add value to things, and and I mentioned the toothpaste because, most people will put toothpaste on their toothbrush, right, then run it under the tap, right, and half the time the toothpaste falls into the thing, and they're brushing away. But, a different way to look at things is don't put the toothpaste on, run your brush under the tap, and then put the toothpaste on top. It lathers up just the same. Now, you wouldn't think so, but it does. I want you to try that.
No, I don't mess with tradition. I've got a... Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't...
You lost me with toothpaste.
Yeah, you lost me with toothpaste.
You put the toothpaste on.
No. I run my brush under the water first and then put the toothpaste on top of that.
Yeah, of course. You have to do that.
Well, no, a lot of people will put the
toothpaste
and then put on and then put water on.
No, you can't.
Yeah, because I taught you the right way.
Yeah, it's facts, bro. If anyone does it different, bro.
I wet the brush, toothpaste, wet again just to go back, double take, and then I'm in.
This is hard-hitting topics.
Yeah.
Please tell me you're recording this.
Just about how different people do things.
We're just going to roll it through.
Different people do things in different ways.
Okay. So, John, look, we talked about before about the importance of the industry. Okay. Why is Cold Xpress important to the industry?
Because we do things that most people don't want to do. We do all the hard things. People want, all the, they want to be able to do full truckloads and where the driver just sits in the back of the truck and just, has it unloaded for him. No one wants to actually hand deliver, right? Butcher shops.
We also do full truckloads, by the way.
Yeah, we do easy stuff as well, okay? We do. But, we built our business on doing the hard stuff, where, we will deliver 30, 40, 50 boxes to a butcher shop. Most companies don't want to do that because it's too hard. Yeah. It's hard. It's taxing on the driver.
And that's why he's heavy on the box weights. Yeah. Because, like when we go to a butcher shop, some of the small butchers, there's not a forklift, right? Driver's got to handle a pallet, 40 boxes, 20 kilos. When you can only put 7 boxes on the trolley, you're doing a few trips.
Yeah, Alex, you've done it.
Yeah, I've done a lot of... I've done a lot. They're heavy boxes, man. I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of the butchers do actually give me a hand. Yeah. They have trolleys, they come out, real nice about it. And going on what you said before, that service they provide, when I'm in the butcher shops, I hear them talking to the people, the staff, like it's a personal relationship that they built over years. But most butcher shops that I've gone to do help. They do help you. Well,
that's because they like you.
What's
not to like?
What's not to like?
I think the important thing is the relationships you build, and that's how we work with it. Because
if you go to that store all the time, you'll build up that rapport.
Yeah,
that relationship.
Exactly.
Because when I first started Cold Xpress, I was doing all the deliveries myself, and I remember there was this one store, like he just never said a word, never smiled, never did anything, And people used to say, yeah, that store there, he's always going to get. He's always going to give you a hard time. I remember one day I said something to him, because I'd always go, how's your day, how you been, trying to strike up that conversation. I get crickets, nothing, donuts from this guy. And one time I said to him, hang on, did you? I think I saw a smile. Was that a smile? And he just looked at me, and a little grin came out, you know. And then I said, "See you later." And then, you know, the next day I said, "Can we pick up from where we left off?" I think there was a smile coming, and then, you know, he didn't warm up 100%, but, you know.
And then Dad realised he doesn't speak English.
No, because, you know, you used to have to wait, right? If you go to a store and there was someone in front of you, especially, you know, the protocol was you have to wait. Even if you've got one box and they're unloading a semi-trailer, you had to wait to get your one box unloaded. So sometimes you'd be stuck behind this truck for an hour. I'd then go up to this guy and say, one box, and he'd go, come on. And then finally he waved me in. Like, you know, he broke ranks. It's long enough ago that, you know, it doesn't matter. But, you know, you do warm up, and then you get those drivers that complain, oh, you know, this guy here, he, you know, whether he's racist or something. I said, no, don't use that. You know, be nice. Be nice to the people, because, you know, they will treat you how, you know, you treat them.
No, I look, that is so important. You know, the customer relationship, the relationships you build, the rapport you sort of strike and manage. In particular within our sector, it is a very important component. Obviously, we talk about price and all these sorts of things. They all revolve. They all go up and down, and it sort of works through. But one thing is constant, and that is the rapport and relationship that you have, and how you work in that partnership and a relationship. Because every butcher and every small goods manufacturer or processor are going to have their volumes. They're going to have their requirements. They're going to have set deadlines and all these sorts of things they've got to put in place. Butcher shops are the same. You know, small goods manufacturers are the same. They're all about, you know, convenience. They're all about one most important thing is trust. Yep. You know, and whether that trust is there, and that's the key component within our. So one of the things, the reason why AMIC and we sort of work with you is because of that trust voice that I got from, let's say, early days with Patoki. And that was very, very important to, you know, for me to make sure, you know, Cold Xpress was, you know, in line with that, you know, component, because they've got products that are coming that are virtually gold for these people. And so I sort of say to them, you know, well, they're not transporting your product, they're transporting, you know,
your reputation.
Your reputation, your bar of gold.
Correct, that's right. Yeah.
You know, to and from.
We don't get enough credit.
No,
that's what he's trying to say.
This is why I wanted to raise it, because this is the credibility. This is the nature of when you support a competition or when you support a program like this. And an industry like AMIC, you know, we've got that credibility to show and put into you, and that trust into you. And you guys, hands down, deliver every single time from our members. I openly say, and our members, I get feedback. There are members saying, "Oh, but Jack and John they didn't have to do it, but they did it." You know, and you guys go out, you know, way beyond some of the scope that we ask for on occasions. And,
we do a lot of things behind the scenes that we just do it because that's how we are. You know, we don't ask for recognition. We don't ask for anything. We just, that to us, when you partner with us, we try and take all your headaches away, transport related, away. And we do things that, you know, we don't get paid for. We don't charge. We don't get paid for certain things that we do behind the scenes, you know, and, you know, that's what when I talk about what's the real cost of something, you know, what's the value? You know, if someone says, you know, to us, oh, gee, you know, we think you're a bit dear, well, that just means we haven't explained to them the real value that we can provide to them.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, because once you factor in the value of what we give, we're actually really cheap. We need to put our prices up.
So the hard question for you, John, is this is the you know, the money question, all right? When are you going interstate?
Yeah. Look,
Did I put him on the spot there?
I'm listening too.
I would love to go interstate.
Go do it.
But
We'll sort it back.
Well, we've just opened up another facility, right? I want to make sure, and this is a really good test case for us, you know, because if we can get this working right, and even though we're only across the road, we still treat it as a remote facility. If we can get those processes in place and get them right, then we can just pick up this and duplicate it like the McDonald's, you know,
movie The Founder.
Sorry?
Like the movie.
Yeah.
The Founder.
Yeah.
Oh, but that model.
But the McDonald's system, you know, because look at McDonald's, you know, one of the biggest companies around, and you know the average age of their managers, I think, is like 21, you know, and these are kids that, kids that, you know, they can't even, their parents can't even get them to clean their rooms, you know, yet they're running McDonald's, you know, it's the same thing because they have the right systems in place. You know, and that's what we have to do. We have to get the right systems that, you know.
Is that a challenge? Is that a challenge not just for you but for the industry when it comes to transport side of things? That, you know, getting the systems right. I mean, I hear from time to time that, you know, things can go astray and go missing and that type of thing. But is that something that's what's the word? A difficult component within the transport side of things. I mean, this is for me to understand. Your side. I mean, you know how it impacts our side of the business.
Systems related. That's any business really. That's any industry too, right? If you nail your systems down right, and it creates better flow for what you need to do, then you know that's how you start building on that.
It's not just the systems. It's not just. It's getting the people to follow the systems because you can put a system in place, right, and then you'll have someone. You know, something will happen, and you'll put another step in to make sure that error doesn't happen again. But if you make it too complicated, then people are always going to go to the shortcut.
You got to make it simple and idiot-proof, basically.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you do. You want to simplify it, but you want to make sure that you change people's habits, all right? And you know. I think I read somewhere that it takes 40 days to change a habit. So if you can make sure someone does something for 40 days, then the chances are, you know...
40 days?
40 days.
I read one that was 21 days. It takes, you break a cycle.
40 days.
Must have been.
See, your generation, you always want to shorten everything. See, they just want to shorten everything. No, it's 40 days.
So I say this probably as a lead on to what we just spoke about, because I think, you know, for our sector and our industry, I mean, you've been, for AMIC in particular, especially for our program, you've been absolutely vital in helping us achieve what we've been achieved. So your pitch, John, is, because we say to our members, look, our role is to facilitate. Okay, we facilitate.
Yeah.
We facilitate partnerships. We facilitate opportunities. Okay, your pitch to our membership, you know, regarding, you know, what you can offer, in particular in Victoria, because I know you guys service the Victorian market quite extensively.
Yep.
But, you know, from small goods manufacturers to abattoirs, butchers to processors, you know, why should they select Cold Xpress? I can pitch it from my experiences on, and that's important.
And look, but before we came along, you know, if you wanted to have your products distributed in Victoria, it'd have to go through like 5 or 6 different hands, all right? You want that region done, that's the guy that did it. That region, that guy does it. That region, that guy does it. And it does become logistically challenging, because sometimes he would get his stock and he would get his stock. And, you know, what we've done is we've said, no, you know what, we're going to do it all ourselves. All right, and one region at a time, I took over, and eventually we took everything on board and we started doing everything ourselves. Now, you talk to someone in Sydney, they'll say, yep, can't be done. You need, you know, 7, 8, 10 different people to do your transport. Well, it was no different than when we started here. So I know that if we go to Sydney, we will cover the whole of Sydney, you know, because, you know, I want to be able to say to you, you know, give me your product and I'll take care of it. Now, that doesn't mean that I give it to him to deliver, who'll then give it to him, you know, and when you use on forwarders, you know, 9 out of 10 times, you know, you lose track, and it ends up getting delivered in the country, in regional area, in the back of someone's ute, because Harry knew Ted, you know, and he goes, I'm going down the pub, or I'm going down to the butcher. Oh yeah, I've got these boxes, you know, and he just chucks them in the back of his ute because he's going down that way. We make sure that doesn't happen, you know. So with us, you've got that security, you know. We've got, you know, we've got all the right accreditations. You know, we've gone over and above when it comes to compliance. You know, when your requirements are here, you know, that this is what you need to do, we'll always be here. We always do more than what you need. And, you know, we also look at the other states. You know, what are they doing in that state? What, you know, who's leading the way in compliance? Who's, you know, New South Wales has just brought out this law. Well, we don't have to do it here, but guess what? We will implement it.
I think a lot of people don't realise how important the cold chain supply is so important to our industry. I mean, it actually can equate to quality of product. Very much so.
100%.
So, you know, if the culture, at any point in time, you know, based on regulation, I mean, that's foremost. That, you know, anything above 5 degrees goes outside our regulation. So holding it under 5 degrees. But if you held it rather than 5 degrees, if most butchers hold it at 5 degrees, they're going to get a certain quality. If they hold it at 2 degrees, they'll get another quality altogether.
Yep. And that's
the freshness and on what how they do it. So,
and does that play on the product? Like, so do butchers? So do they have certain products a little bit higher timber than others, or it's all still around the same temperature?
Look, each butcher will do their own sort of way how they manage their products. But I suppose what is well known is the integrity of the supply chain is all about the temperatures they keep it. The temperatures they keep it in their chiller and in the display cabinet, how it's presented, all those sorts of things it provides the quality of the product in a unique way. And that's something, again, that point of difference of where the Safeways and Coles are, is that I'm not saying theirs are higher, but what I'm saying is that their freshness is paramount.
Now, just on that, you know, so 0 to 4 is, you know, a chiller, and then minus 18 is a freezer. So to me, you know, those parameters, we looked at that, and like the facility we just built, right? We could have run our fridges at 3 degrees, right? But we chose to run it at 1, because speaking to butchers and speaking to people, you know, and manufacturers, they said if you can store the meat at 1 degree, then it actually lasts better. And it's kept. So 100%. With our freezer, yes, we could set it at minus 18, you know, but then when you start doing your deliveries, it's going to drop, you know. But we set our freezers at minus 25, you know, because we just want to go that little bit above and beyond, you know, to ensure the integrity of the product.
Well, I'll say this to you about the temperature, and I'm not discounting anything about the temperature of your chillers when it comes to frozen, but I know the industry's done a lot of research recently, and actually one of the lead researchers, AMIC is sort of working with at the moment, but they're talking about the chiller temps, you know, the freezer temps, whether they're going to be at 15 degrees, whether they're going to go down to 12 degrees, or they're going to stay at 18 degrees. So we've done a lot of research in there about the quality in how that plays, and what does that equate to? Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to equate to cost. It's going to savings potentially. But paramount, what has always been about the industry is the quality of the product, the integrity of the product, making sure that doesn't change in any which way or form. So we've done.
We could put our freezers up. And our cool room, we could have it higher, you know, and we would save money. No doubt about it, we would save money on refrigeration costs. But we don't look at the cost. We look at what's the best for the product and what we do. What is the absolute, you know, optimal temperature, and that's what we go by. All right, and that, you know, also feeds into value, you know. Don't just look at the cost of, you know, what someone does. Look at the value they provide for you and for your product. So, yeah, I'm glad you raised that, because, you know, that is so often just overlooked. And people say, transport's transport. Doesn't matter how it gets there. But you really don't want it to be chucked in the back of that ute and delivered to the pub.
Got a question for both you guys. I'll start with you, Oliver. Where do you see the meat small goods industry in the next 5 years? Where are we heading?
Well, it's a very broad question.
He's put you on the spot now.
Yeah, I know. 5 years from here, look, if you'd asked me that 5 years ago, it would have been a completely different altogether again. I think, when we talk about charcuterie products or small goods products, I think it's gone through a bit of a renaissance now. I think the uniqueness and the artisan aspect of what we're producing, the acknowledgement of what is actually being produced by our manufacturers, and I take in butchers in that as well, because they also play in that space in the smaller outlets.
Yeah.
AMIC's done a lot of work from a guidelines perspective on making sure that we've got our guidelines set in accordance to our auditors, our regulators, making sure that we can support industry growth in understanding what products need to be and how they need to be. So in 5 years' time, we see it only getting bigger and more involved with what we're producing. Ready to eat is something that's growing. Convenience is growing. Innovation in flavours is growing. Health and wellness is another key component, and our sector is also managing that. In regards to acknowledging that, our products are becoming more and more organic in that sense in how they're produced. The reduction in fat, reduction in sodium. How we move with that. That's again something that the industry is very mindful of and working towards, and constantly looking at research and constantly looking at ways that we can work to improve that. But we need to also understand that these products have been produced for I wouldn't say thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Long time ago, yeah.
So it's evolved over a period of time. So you talk about 5 years, I talk about let's look at the last century. Let's look at the century before that. Let's look at the century before that, and where small goods has grown over that period of time. How science has evolved. How consumer preference has evolved. Yeah. We talk about Italian regions. If you go anywhere throughout Italy, there's various forms of different types of small goods that produce it, from Veneto to Calabria to...
You go into some of those sheds, you open up and you just see pots with hooves and things, claws hanging out of pots while they're cooking.
Well, there's so many different different
but it has
cultures.
Evolved, yeah?
It's evolved. It's evolved exponentially.
I know,
but they still respect the traditions, and this is the key component. They still respect the traditions of what was produced, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But it's evolved in regards to making sure that it's safe, and making sure that us as consumers can consume it in an appropriate way and it fits regulation. That's why all this regulation's in place. It's there to protect the consumers.
My father-in-law, may he rest in peace, mate. I went into his shed. Right, he used to pluck his own chickens. He used to do all that. He used to cook the animals and the feet and the. No.
Look, we respect tradition. We respect how we've evolved. But I think when I talk about artisan type of products, I mean, we just only have to look at the prosciutto in if you look at prosciutto in Spain and we look at prosciutto in Italy, they're different. They're a little bit different in how they. The same process. It's just different in look at different regions and how they put their connotation. You go to Croatia or Serbia and all these Balkan nations, they do their own sort of produce. Go to Germany, you look at this Hungarian salami and the German salami sausage. They're all got their all touch. It's our industry is about how do we recognise that creativity, that product, and then how do we provide it in a safe and safe form
and keep the cold chain intact. So,
I mean, again, that's why I say that's why it's so important that all those things are.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. You want another world first here? If your members will commit to us in New South in Sydney, then we will come there.
There you go.
But we need that support. We need that support, and we will do it right from day one. We're not going to just do little bits of pieces. If we're going to do it, we'll do it properly.
Rory's putting a lot of pressure on me right now.
Back to you.
No, it's up to the members. If we get the support, we'll do it. We'll do it.
What we say is, we like I said before, we facilitate partnership, we facilitate relationships. We do our, I think it's most important for our members, we do our due diligence. We're not saying that you're perfect, John. We would love to say that, but the same thing for our members. We're not saying we're perfect.
Sure, Marie says I'm perfect.
But what we do see is that partnerships you have to work on, work together in, and you go through the bumps and tribulations, as they say. But you go at the other end, you find you've got a very, very important component as a business partnership to get in place.
100%. And what's that I was saying? If you think the grass is greener on the other side, water your own lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what I just said.
So now your turn, Dad. Where do you see transport industry in the next 5 years? Where are we heading?
5 years.
Yeah, next 5 years. Yeah. EVs.
I don't think EVs are the game changer that everyone says they're going to be. I see too many limitations with EVs. I see hydrogen stepping in and overtaking EVs. EVs are okay.
There's a lot of compliance with hydrogen, though.
I think there's more with EVs.
There's more with EVs?
Yep. Look at the batteries. What happens if if an EV collides with something, once that thing catches on fire, you're not putting it out, At least with hydrogen, it's just going up in the air, Look, I don't know a lot about it. I just, I know that there was a bus company who wanted to put on 13 buses, and they were told they couldn't do it because the grid couldn't sustain. And that's 13 buses, right? What are we, are we kidding? You know how many trucks there are on the road? If the transport companies went EV, you wouldn't be able to have your electric blanket at night. You wouldn't be able to have your air conditioner on. I just don't see it. I just can't see it. Not in the way we are. Look, okay. I'm controversial because I don't believe in the windmills and all that either. I think that's, don't look at the output that things do, like the EVs. Okay, what are we measuring? Are we measuring once the truck is made? How good it is for the environment? Well, no, don't do that. Look at how look at how you build the batteries. Look at how all the components you need, all the things you need to mine it, and then what harm is that doing to the environment? So when you put all that together, I think there's a case to be let's keep refining the diesel and the gas and definitely hydrogen. Anyway, that's what I think.
Now I got a few questions that have popped in from our socials, and Alex, Oliver, feel free to put in your 2 cents if you wish. Some of the questions that come through is basically they're all for you really, not from Alex. But geez, shock. What's it like working with your children? Because you got Alex, you got myself, and just doing the business. What's that like?
Well, I get to yell at you on air and as well as off air. No. Look. It is. That's one of the best things about running a family business, I think. Doing things like what we're doing here. As a parent, I think you really want to stay connected with your children. Because, generally, people reach the age of 18, they jump in their cars, they're off, and you just don't see them as much as you'd like to. I mean, you think of yourself with your kids, right? Right now, you can't wait to get home and play with your kids. Yeah? Okay. Now, imagine they grow up, they go to 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. You can't wait for them to kick a footy. You can't wait to catch ball with them. You can't, I did all these things with you guys, and then we did karate together. We go to the footy to go baggers. We do all these things together.
Let's go the pies.
Oh my God! I can't believe
Cut it now.
Cut that.
Give me another desk.
For me, that's that's what it's about.
3:47 p.m.
Oh,
Bro, solid.
that's, you know, I like the fact that, you know, I get to see you guys every day, you know, when you're at work, you know, because if it wasn't for work, Alex, you know, I'll come home, I hardly ever see him. He's out. You're out.
You barely live with me. You can't.
Where do I live?
You live in Dramana.
Excuse me.
Mount Arthur, sorry.
Excuse me.
You tell me all the time. What are you talking about?
You got home last night. At what time?
He was working.
I was
Give
working.
him a break, man. What were you doing, huh? Why'd you leave yesterday?
Putting in work. No. No, I was. I had footy training.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean. You know, you're gonna want to go out with your mates, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm not your best mate anymore. You know what I mean? It's like you would rather. I've got you on tape saying I was your best mate. By the way.
You are my best mate.
Yeah. You know, all of a sudden, you know, you want to go out with your girlfriend, you want to go with your mates, you know.
Boyfriend.
So as we get older, you know, we get to spend less quality time, right? So to me, when you're in business with a family, you know, and your kids, yeah, you know, you're going to butt heads. You know, you're not going to see, you know, eye to eye on everything, but you know, down the track, you will come to cherish these times, you know, down the track.
And Jack, I got a follow-up question to what you just asked Dad. What do you enjoy about working with Dad and myself?
Uber Eats.
Lunch on the company card.
Come straight to the factory, and we get to write it off because we eat it at work.
I don't know. I don't really know anything different, to be honest. I've been 15 years now. This is really the only place I've ever worked. It's a great industry. I love it, you know. And I probably couldn't see myself working anywhere else. And I don't think I could work under anyone apart from Dad. I love working for Dad and Mum. You know, we have a great relationship with each other. You tearing up?
No,
but it's real. I love it. We got a great. I feel like we've got a good culture, you know. And we've got new members that were brought on this year. But I love it. I love it more now because I'm not at home with you guys anymore. I've moved out. So yeah, I don't know. I couldn't see myself honestly working. I think like sometimes like I don't know. I reckon I probably would have got fired if I worked for someone else. If I was working with my parents, you know, like.
Jack, you wouldn't have been hired.
You know, there's greater flexibility. There's pros and cons.
I wouldn't talk if I was you.
You know.
I've never seen it.
But yeah, there's pros and cons of working in a family business. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And for me, I reckon the pros outweigh the cons. And
working in the family business is a little bit different because you have to learn how to employ yourself. Now that is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, no, you tell me all the time.
I do, and I do say that because for me, when you are your own boss, right? No one's going to tell you off for getting to work an hour late.
You guys tell me off an awful lot.
You're not your own boss.
You're a weasel, bro.
You're not your own boss.
I get, man,
right?
My lunch breaks were getting clocked with a stopwatch. What the fuck?
Yeah, because we have to try and
I understand. You're trying to
you.
teach me, and I respect it. I understand.
You know what I mean? Employing yourself, everyone thinks, oh, I want to be my own boss, it's going to be great, right? But being your own boss is hard because, you know, you have to look after everyone else first, you know? Especially when you're growing a small business, you know, everyone else gets paid first, right? And, you know, I remember times where...
Bro, why are you getting fucking soft? You know, one of my best things about you was you were always strong. Now, as you're getting older, you're getting a bit softer. Don't get soft on me.
I think it comes with age.
I need you to be hard, man.
There's a pill for that.
But I remember, you know, what do you say? What do you say? Anyway, I remember, you know,
you need it, bro.
There'd be times where, you know, we'd pay everyone, and there'd be nothing left for us to take home.
Yeah,
you know, or you know, shit, you know, we got payroll to do, you know, in another 2 days. Yeah. There's no money in the bank, so we'd have to call up customers, you know. Oh, by the way, and this is a number of years ago, but it'd still be relevant today if you're starting a business today, right? And I'd say, oh, you know, we didn't quite get that, you know, your check in the mail, or you know, and they'd say, oh yeah, it's sitting on the desk here, we'll mail it out. And I'd say, actually, I'm actually coming past, if you don't mind, I'll just pop in and grab it, right? Now, I was an hour away, but I had to go and pick up that cheque because I needed to bank it, because I needed it to clear so I can make payroll. Now, these are things that people don't see. They don't see that today. They don't see the struggles that people in small businesses go through, right? Just to survive.
I think that's the key. I mean, that's the element that a lot of people don't see. That small business, big business, medium tier business, they all go through their ups and downs. Is how they work through that. In particular, small business, they work through that within family. It's actually quite good. Good to see the camaraderie between you three. But I will say one thing: the elements of a good business is how you challenge each other. Okay. In small business, the same. It's how they, through adversity, through those challenges, how they grow from that, how they work through it, how they what they listen to from the outside as well, because that can be refreshing. Yeah. What do you take and what you don't take? In my time, with so many small businesses that I work with, and we've partnered with, as all of our members, the same thing. They're all, if you look at the independent butchers, they're all small to medium, sort of enterprises. So they've got significant challenges that they
a lot
work
of them
through.
are family owned as well,
and nearly every single one is family owned.
Which I love about that, by the way.
I say, you guys, you're very fortunate where you've got one CEO potentially you're dealing with. As part of what I've, somebody says, how does working with AMIC? Well, I work with multiple CEOs. I've got, 1,500 CEOs that we deal with on a day. Everyone's got a different point of view. Everyone's got a different way of looking at things. Everyone's got a different way of looking at how they do their business. But the challenge is how we can collectively have this, a uniform approach to it, and how we try and provide that advice and how we try and find a balance with that.
All of it. People say to me, "Oh, you're your own boss," and I'm saying, "I'm my boss." I said, "Yeah, okay." No, because I have 800 bosses. Correct. All my customers are my bosses.
Correct.
And this is the part of things that they don't see.
Yep.
They think, "Oh, you got a business. You got a, you've built a decent sized business. You can do whatever you want." Well, no, we have to. I feel like. We are at the pinnacle of what we do in our space, yeah? Now, we got there, but it's harder staying there because everyone wants to knock you off, This tall poppy syndrome that people tend to have, it's real, People look
on that, Dad, we're talking about, how you said it's earlier on, you're struggling, right? What would you say to people, young people that are just sort of starting out in business, right? They got a small team and that are struggling. What any words of wisdom you can pass on to them? And it's across all industries, not just transport.
Yeah, it's.
That was one of the questions that came through. By the way.
Yeah. When you've got a small team, it in a family business, the team are actually an extension of your family. Look, they'll never be your family, but we
AMIC can try, but yeah.
We treat them like they're an extension, and I think sometimes that can be good and bad, because as you grow, like people can, it's happened in the past where you have a really good employee, and then they just expect, their expectations grow as you grow. And look, I like to think that we.
Why are you sugarcoating? Just say it. You're holding back your voice.
Yeah, no. We yeah, because I'm just.
I thought I'd worry about you getting cancelled, but now you're a little soft.
I'm just remembering in the past, what's happened in the past, because I've had, but when you were younger, I've had people that become my like 2IC type of thing, and as we grow, they just expect things to be handed to them. Well, that's, you know, you do want to help people, and we do, and we help a lot of people, but, you know, that's, you know, we as a small family business, you grow that for your family.
Yeah.
Right? And you wait for your kids to grow up so they can step in where, you know, I've put, you know, some people have got their noses out of joint, you know, because, you know, you've come up through the ranks and, you know, well, I want my son to step into that, you know, not someone else into a certain position. And they've ended up leaving because they felt that, you know, I've done the wrong thing by him. But I don't know, I think they just expect a little bit too much because, you know, as we are building a business, you know, what I did for me, I did for them. And, you know, did I treat them too equal? I don't know. But that's how I am. I like to share that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you answered the question, but that was a good response.
What was the question again?
Yeah.
What was the question?
One of the videos that's sort of trending, right, on TikTok, right? You talked about someone owing you $877, right?
Yeah.
What's the largest amount that someone's, you know, run away with on you?
340,000.
And so how's the business?
They went under.
Oh yeah. So how does it impact the business? How does it impact our business? And you know.
Yeah, it was really bad because.
And how did you let it get to that stage? I mean, if they're on a, you know, if their terms are on whatever they are, right? Yep. 14 days, 20, whatever. Say, how do you let it creep out that much? Was it a customer that was paying you, say, $100,000 a week, or was it a small customer?
No, they were a large customer.
Yeah.
And
because right now, you know, there's a lot. Like
I think they were spending 60 or 80 grand a week, and that was a lot back then. Yeah. It's a lot now. It's a lot now.
Yeah.
But you know, they were our largest customer, and to run for someone to get out a month, right? Even if it's 60,000, that's $240,000. You know, and then they and you'd sort of like you don't want to. Back then, you know, I didn't want to put people on stop because I thought I'm going to lose them as a customer. So, you know, you try and work with them, and then the next thing I know, you know, they've sold their business, and the other people say, well, that's got nothing to do with us, and, you know, everyone puts their hand up. But what made it really bad at that time, they owed us $340,000. We had another company who, you know, I was warned about, you know, they said, you know, this, you know, because when we took them on board, you know, a couple of people reached out and said, oh, they're not very good payers. And I thought, well, okay, well, I like to, you know, I don't listen to gossip. I take it on board, but unless someone does the wrong thing by me, you know, I give people the benefit of the doubt. So I heard, you know, this particular company, you know, weren't very good payers, and I thought I'll just keep them on a short leash, you know. And they were spending, I think it was, you know, about 5,000 or 6,000 a week. And then they got out to about 20,000, and I said, you know, look, you know, you need to, you know, if you don't pay, I'm going to have to put you on stop supply and everything. And the next thing happened, like the guy's son had a motorbike accident, right, and lost his leg, and he's in hospital. And you know, I remember saying to the accounts people, look, don't, you know, just leave him alone at the moment, you know, because his son's had an accident, and you know, the last thing I wanted is to put pressure on him about his business. Anyway, before I knew it, that debt had gone to 140,000, wow. And then when I realised it was like, I made the call and. I said, mate, you know, we got to work out a payment plan on this. And then, you know, a couple of days later, I get a letter, he got into administration, and he started up under another name. So, and that, there was three things that happened roughly around the same time. There was 340, 140, and another guy for 240. It was rough because.
So how'd you get past that? That's a substantial amount of money to be taken out.
Yeah, look, we went through some we went through some hard times, and we had to and we also then employed a bookkeeper that took us for 140K. Had a gambling problem, and Then we had we spoke to some of our contractors and said, look, we're going to have to hold off on you guys. And we worked with them. We said, you're going to have to take a 10% cut, and our guys were really good. They did that, and we got back on track, and there was one guy. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Michael Bisbee from Food Biz, we owed him, I think it was $52,000, because he would supply us vehicles, and he was up in Werribee, and I remember, we started putting our own vehicles on, and we sort of like didn't need his services anymore. And then he got this letter, and he came and he goes, mate, I just got this letter, I'm owed $52,000, and, I said, look, Mike, I know you just got to bear with me. I'll make sure that you get your money, and I said I'll just chip away. And anyway, I didn't hear anything from him after that. And then one day the guy, Michael comes and he comes in to see me, and he had a bottle of wine. He puts it on my desk, and I said, mate, I don't drink. He goes, I said, what's that for? He goes, John, I just want to say that last week was the final payment. He goes, where you've paid me off. He goes, John, I've got to say, when I got that letter, I didn't think I'd ever see my money. He goes, you said you were going to pay me back, and you did. I said, Michael, I owed you the money. He goes, yeah, but people say things, but he goes, I just felt the need to come down, and because I just chipped away at it, and took me 2 years to pay him off, but and I wasn't using his services or anything, but I thought, these he's done the work, they got families to feed as well, and I just, it was hard.
You're a good man, Dad. You're a fucking good man.
It was hard. Look, the easiest thing would have been just to give up and say, can't do it anymore. But it's just not in me. It's not in. It's not in me to give up. And I remember there were nights. I'd be driving the truck, and I'd jump out. It's freezing. I'd jump out, land in a puddle of water. I had to unload a truck, and I think, why am I doing this? And then, I'd think of you kids at home. I think, that's why I'm doing it.
You weren't born. It was about me and Jacinta, right?
That's why I'm doing it. That's why for my kids. But I remember some hard times. I remember, we were that down at that time. We were going through pants and pockets to look for change. We were looking for change just so we could buy pizza that night. So we hit the bottom of the barrel. Let me tell you. When you're searching through clothes to find change to buy pizza for dinner.
With pineapple.
With pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we...
Just to be very clear, John, there was pizza with pineapple on it.
Yeah, it was.
Now, was that a capricciosa, or was that like just a vegetarian with pineapple?
Sometimes they stick those anchovies on
Anchovies
there.
on a pizza.
You've definitely asked for
As I say, are you putting anchovies on top of the pineapple, or what's happening there?
That will get me ordering pizza, and he's like, ask for no anchovies. I say it. It doesn't come with anchovies. I'm just going to say it just in case.
Let's be very controversial. Isn't a proper capricciosa with anchovies?
A proper one is, yes. Yeah, it is.
Wait a minute. Have we got a head shake here?
No.
We've got a definitive head shake, I see.
No. Just on the people starting a new business, you said, you did say, what's an important piece of information that I would share.
Yeah. Well, you've been in business for 27 years.
Yeah.
Someone's, a year or two in.
Don't be scared to ask for your money.
Yeah.
When you do the work, because your job's not done until you get paid. At the end of the day, you can do all the deliveries you want, but until you get paid, the job's not complete. Because people, unfortunately, they look. You're funding people's businesses, where you shouldn't.
I know you always tell us, we're not a bank.
Yeah, we try and cut all the costs out of our business that we can, right? So I know that there are companies out there that they'll give people 90, 120-day terms, yeah, and then they'll factor their book debts. But there's a cost to doing that, so they're paying extra, So we try and eliminate all that, and it's hard because especially when you're starting out, you want to get every customer you want to come on board. And you'll give them a credit app. And what do? They'll cross out the guarantees. Well, why are you crossing out the guarantees? Why are you crossing out the personal guarantees? All right? Are you saying that you don't trust yourself? Can you go to a bank and say, yep, I want a loan, but I'm going to cross out the guarantees? No, you can't. Can you go to a restaurant or somewhere and order food, or go to Coles or Woolies and say, I'll pay you, in 30 to 90 days? No, you can't. Well, small businesses rely on turnover. They rely on cash flow. And I know of so many really good businesses that have gone under because they didn't manage their cash flow.
As they say, cash flow is king.
Cash flow is king, 100%. So if I've got one thing to say to people starting out, watch your cash flow. And for me, I've always wanted to have, a minimum. I've always liked to have 6 months of commitments in the bank. All right. If you ever get down to 3 months, I would start to panic. But you'd see something and.
But when you're early on, you don't have that luxury of having all that money.
No, I know. And that's why I would run down and say to someone, "Can you give me a check? Because I need to cash it." But as you start to build up.
But these are learnings that you've gone over a period of time too. That you need to understand that these learnings over a period of time, you sort of, you.
If you're making profits,
they define you.
Here's the thing: if you're making profits, don't spend all your profits.
Correct.
Don't spend them on toys and luxuries, right? Don't get your Ferrari and this and that. Don't invest it back into your business.
Wouldn't know, bro. Wouldn't know.
Invest it back into your business, right? And have that little bit of a buffer, because things happen in business. You might lose your top customer. You might, things happen, right? And if you the worst thing, an engine will blow in a truck. Well, there's $60,000 gone, right? So you need to have a buffer where you can overcome things that happen. And if you don't, what are you going to do? How are we going to fix that truck that you need? Yeah. You can't. So at a minimum, I would say have work towards 3 months of a commitment. So that if you've got interest repayments to make, or if you have to pay your rent, have 3 months of rent sitting in the bank. Now, don't worry about the interest that you're not going to get. Don't worry, because let me tell you, it's a different air that you breathe when you're financially covered. People say don't buy a house. It's a really bad investment. Don't pay off your house. Well, you see. Okay, if you want to look at it as an investment thing, maybe they're right. But let me tell you, when you do buy your own house and you own your own house and you've paid your house off, it is just a weight lifted off your shoulder. And I know that. You know why? Because I've had to pay it off 4 times. Because every time we go through a growth spurt, what do? We mortgage our house again. We've just gone through it again. But I remember one of my employees coming to me and said, I can do what you do. And he was a pretty switched on guy. He goes, I could do what you do. I said, yeah, it's not, yeah, I'm just like you. We're no different. I said to him, but let me ask you a question. I said, do you own your own home? And he said, well, yes, I said, do you owe any money on it? And he says, yes, I owe $30,000 on my house. He goes, after $30,000, I've paid my house off. I said, fantastic. Now, if I said to you, I've got a business proposition for you, all right, but you have to put your house up, got to mortgage your house, fully mortgage to as much as you can. Would you do it? He goes, no way. He goes, I would never do that. I would never take that risk. I said, see, now that's the difference between me and you, because I've done it. And that's the small business people. That's what they do. They put their life on the line, for things like that. Where other people, and that's the difference. Good employees can be a good. Okay, a good owner is a good owner. A good manager is a good manager, but they don't always cross over. You can have a good manager that cannot be a good owner, because he can manage that group of people, but when he has to become an owner, it's a completely different set of skills that you need to be an owner. And they don't always go hand in hand. Because I've been in a position where people have been people they're really good employees. So yep, we know how to run our own business. They've gone to run their own business, and they've within a couple of years they go under because they don't have the skill set to be an owner, but they can be really good managers.
That's good. I think we'll leave it there, gents. Dad, always a pleasure. Oliver, thank you for joining, being our first guest on the show. I'm really appreciated to have you on here.
Been a pleasure, guys, and thank you for the invitation. Really do appreciate it. And I look to hope to see that you guys go bigger and stronger and see you in New South Wales and our members can support you.
It's up to you.
Appreciate that. And Alex, it's always good to have you on here, man. The amount of information that you bring to the
You didn't say much today, Alex. You're pretty
quiet.
quiet.
It's really just sort of soaking in,
Alex,
letting you guys take the reins.
There was one question for you, Alex, that came through.
Where did he get his looks from?
13 inch.
Wow.
What?
No. Someone said Alex looks like he eats Snickers upside down because he likes the texture. What the fuck's that about?
That's what I commented on.
What?
Jack said, he put up a thing and said, any questions for me? I said, guy on the left looks like he eats the Snickers upside down because he likes the texture. The upside down of the Snickers is veiny. I was, you
get it?
I was implying he likes the texture of a vein.
Look it up. I'm going to write it out for you.
Oh, no, I don't. I don't want to see pictures. Right? I'm trying to get the image out of my head as it is. Right? So
there's one follower that I don't know. You must have upset. I'm pretty sure he wears a skirt. But he goes, "Is Sanch just a pretty face, or is he like a broken forklift that is useless and just takes up space?"
So
who are you hurting out there, man? Who are you hurting out there?
Wow.
Oh, legit, that actually came through.
Wow.
They know where I live. They can pull up anytime.
So do you know?
Hey, keys under the mat. Come say hi.
Going around our industry.
Joking, by the way.
Can I just say, like, as Alex was growing up, he ended up with a nickname called Sanchez.
Oh, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah. Why?
Sanchez, was it?
No.
I'm not getting into that.
He got
next question.
You don't want to talk about how you got your nickname. Is that for the next podcast?
Let's save for a rainy day.
All right, there is a story behind that name.
Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out all the updates that's happening with Cold Xpress, and also check out AMIC as well. Right. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. We'll catch you at the next one.